Hi, my name's Grant. We're going to take a look at the CICS Deployment Assistant tool, and in this section we're going to take a look at a project that I've previously discovered. The project that I've discovered is one called Demo, and we can see the artifacts that CICS Deployment Assistant looks at in this DA projects tree underneath the demo item. So the highest level item is our Sysplex, and if I double click on the Sysplex, we can see an editor view that's opened up on the right hand side here that describes our Sysplex Plex 2. In our model that we discovered 3 MVS images, and we collected data for those images, MV28, 29 and 2C. And across that Sysplex, we discovered a number of CICS plexes. These are CICS Plex SM managed CICS plexes. The way the navigation works within the tool, I can select items off the tree within the DA projects view. So I can double click on MVS 28 and I'll get an MVS 28 view opened on the right hand side here. And now I get more information about the artifacts that were discovered on MVS 28. For example, various identity information of the MVS system, names of unmanaged CICS regions. These are regions that are not managed by CICS Plex SM. Lists of managed CICS systems that were managed by CPSM, CICS Plex SM control points, CMAS regions, and CICS Plex SM web user interface servers with the port numbers that we can use to contact those web user interface servers. There's also another tab on an MVS image view, which is called Other Subsystems. If I click that, I can see the names of DB2 systems and WebServer systems and various other CICS servers, AXM servers. So if I choose to navigate those items using the tree, I can do the same thing by expanding the twisties associated with the various resources that we have within the tree. So I can pick a CICS region that's managed by CICS Plex SM, IYCS GIT2 in this example, and we can see some information that was discovered about this particular CICS region. For example, I can see that this user ID is being run by user ID G8SHAL. It's running on an MVS image called MV28. It's CICS TS 4.1, also known as CICS 660. It's connected to a DB2 system, DH28, and an MQ system called QG28. I can see that it's connected and is part of a CICS Plex, GEM PLX01, and it's connected to a CMAS IYCS GIC0. This CICS system has connections to other CICS systems, IYCS GIA0 and GIA1, and it's also members of CICS Plex SM group GSGRP1 and TORs. One of the capabilities of CICS Deployment Assistant is that you can specify start policies with a region. And so I do that within the start policy window here, and I can click Browse button. This particular CICS is started through a batch job, and I can specify the name of the dataset that I want to look at. And I can expand a PDS, which is sitting on the host, and I can find a piece of JCL. And now within this start policy, I can save that using Control S. And so now I can enable the use of the Start Region button, and that, when the system's not running, can be used to start this CICS system. As an alternative to submitting a batch job, I could have optionally specified a ZOS command to run by using the Started Task Radio button. If I want to browse the piece of JCL or edit the piece of JCL that's associated with the start policy, I can click this dataset name hyperlink here, and I get an editor window up showing me the JCL for this particular CICS region. There are other capabilities on this dialog, which we'll look at in a subsequent session, namely the clone CICS region item. For a CICS system that's not managed by CICS Plex SM, then I can see that CICS system, but the information is not as detailed because we depend on CICS SM to fill in some of the information. Now, CICS Deployment Assistant is trying to encourage you to use CICS SM. It adds a lot of value, and so CICS Deployment Assistant tries to make that easy by providing a wizard that we see here called Add to CICS, and we will look at that function in a subsequent session. The web user interface information here is useful because we can get details of a CICS web user interface server. There's information about the connections that CICS web user interface server has, the names of the CICSplexes that are managed by that web user interface server, the groups that are associated with the web user interface server. And again, we can specify start policies, so we can start and stop our web user interface server using this interface. But we also have the capability to actually dynamically define a connection in the CICS Explorer SM perspective. So I don't have any connections previously defined to this web user interface server. If I can click on this hyperlink here, CICS Management Interface, I get a prompt saying, do I want to switch to the CICS SM perspective of CICS Explorer? And I'm going to say yes. And I get some information, and I can specify my credentials, and now I'm connected to that CICS SM web user interface server, and I haven't had to define connection. The connection information can all be stored within the CICS Deployment Assistant model. So I'll switch back to the CICS Deployment Assistant model. So there are a number of ways to navigate this tree, which we've talked about, and we can see attributes of various CICS related servers. For example, the CFDT servers, the name counter servers, and the temporary storage servers. So that wraps up looking at the CICS Deployment Assistant model using the editor.